Have you ever felt like giving up? Not dramatically, not publicly, but quietly. The kind of exhaustion where you show up, but your heart is so tired. The kind of exhaustion when you start wondering if anything that you are doing actually matters. If you felt that way before, this message is for you today, because today I'm going to remind you of something that you may have actually forgotten. You actually do not know who you are inspiring by continuing to be your beautiful, wonderful self.
Nhom now, it's all I need, yeah, it's all I need, yeah.
You actually don't know who's watching and they're healing through the way you are being, to the way you are being yourself and being who you are. You don't know who's actually borrowing courage from your journey. You don't know who sees your life and thinks, maybe I can keep going too. I remember a season when I had almost given up, like internally. I was tired. I was also very sick at that time. So it was just like a flu, but a really bad flu, and it felt like COVID. I don't know what it was. Life felt just a tad bit heavy at the time. I think it's just like there was a lot happening. There was a lot of responsibility and stuff. So, and my heart just felt like it was carrying more than I cared to admit, especially at that particular time. Then something happened at that moment, and someone contacted me, and I'm almost certain they might actually see this video one day, or maybe they might see it today. They said to me that they had seen this particular photo of me while I was traveling. That photo inspired them to create something so meaningful and beautiful, and they spoke about that image as though it represented confidence for them, courage and possibility. What fascinated me about that particular thing is that the photo wasn't even supposed to exist or even supposed to happen, and there was nothing necessarily special about it. It was just a random photo. I was one of my traveling, and this person said something about it that inspired them. I think for memory, I was quite sick and I was bedridden, and I wasn't like feeling inspired. I wasn't feeling strong at all. I wasn't feeling like some motivational speaker, which I'm not, because that's not what we aim for, right? I was simply trying to just get through the day. I was having fun, but my body was just like overexhausted, and I just overasserted myself and just overfunctioned. The following day, I managed to get up to do the tour and continued with my plan. Somewhere during the trip, that's where that particular photo was taken. So not long after, I would say a month or two, someone told me that particular image really, really encouraged them. I've never shared this with them at the time when they were sharing, because they didn't need to know at that particular point. But they did not know that what was happening behind that photograph, because what they saw as strength, I experienced it as survival. When they saw confidence, I experienced persistence. What they saw as inspiration, I experienced simply taking the next step. That's when I learned something very important. People are often inspired by your consistency, by your persistency, by your resilience, long before they actually know your story. They don't always see the tears behind everything. They don't always see sort of kind of like the setbacks. They don't see the sleepless night. They simply see someone that's actually continuing to do something, to be productive, to be happy, to be joyous, and to just, be who they are. And the thing is, sometimes that's actually enough, because I've also experienced it where people have inspired me, but I have taken something from them that they paid a price for. And in a way, this is the reason why I believe that pain is not personal, like to you. It is a custom to you, like your situation. Pain is human. Challenges are human. They're not okay, they're not fun, they're not anything. But if you do make it personal, you're going to carry it on your shoulders. And I'm not talking about, physical pain or whatever, but we live in a broken world where Pain do exist. Disappointment is human. Every person you admire has carried something very challenging and very difficult. Every person you respect has experienced moment where they like question themselves, right? You are not unusual because life feels really hard. You are human, full stop. The challenge is not avoiding pain. The challenge is learning how to keep moving through it. And the thing is, here's what to do when you feel like just hiding yourself, when life feels difficult. Many of us want to disappear, out of this world. We want to withdraw ourselves. We want to wait until we're perfect before showing up again. However, consider this. What if your imperfect journey is the very thing that actually somebody else needs? Not your success, not your achievement, your journey, your growth, your willingness to continue. You don't need to become this famous person to influence people. You don't need 1 million followers. You do not need a stage, sometimes a photo, a conversation, a smile, a small act of courage can create a ripple effect never witnessed. Another thing, you can track your progress. This is why I encourage people to track their progress. Take photos, write reflections, keep journals, save memories, look for evidence, because your mind often tells you that nothing has actually changed. I'm still the same person. The evidence usually says something otherwise. You may not be where you want to be, however, you're probably not where you used to be either. The healing that feels invisible today often becomes obvious when you actually look back. Sometimes the most encouraging thing to do is to compare yourself to your past self and not somebody else, highlight reels. You're actually your own journey. And another thing to do is, one of the most beautiful things that I see throughout scripture is that God uses ordinary moments to encourage people. People rarely understand the impact their obedience while they're actually living it at the time. They simply take the next step faithfully. Their impact is often revealed so much later, and perhaps that's true for you right now. You may feel very exhausted, you may feel tired, you may not feel seen, you may feel as though your progress is quite insignificant, yet God may be using your journey to strengthen somebody else you have never even actually met. So before you give up, before you die, before you convince yourself that your life doesn't actually matter, remember this: you do not know who's actually watching your healing journey. You do not know who's actually finding courage because you choose to keep going. You do not know who is being inspired by the version of you that feels completely ordinary. And maybe it's worth asking yourself again this question: have you ever felt like giving up? Because if you have, perhaps somebody else is looking at your life right now and finding the strength actually to not quit.